Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Dennis Stockman, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Ian Taylor. We warmly welcome the family of Lance Corporal Laurence Leslie Maguire, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this across Australia. During the ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors and family. Please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Laurence Leslie Maguire. Lawrence Maguire was born in 1890 in Canberra, New South Wales. The son of Richard and Charlotte Maguire, both from well-known families in the Gorgandra district, he grew up in the area where his father leased land and held the mail contract for a number of years. After attending school at Curban, he went on to work as a labourer in the district. Maguire enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in October 1915 and was posted to the 13th Battalion. He underwent a brief period of training in Australia before being sent to Egypt. There, the AIF, having recently arrived back from Gallipoli, was undergoing a period of reorganisation and training. As a part of this process, Maguire was transferred to the 45th Battalion and in June departed for service on the Western Front in France. The 45th Battalion played a minor role in the heavy fighting around Pozières and Mercaille Farm in August 1916. The following November, Maguire suffered burns to his feet and had to be sent to hospital in England to recover. He ended up spending most of 1917 in England in various roles, including more than 2 months in hospital with illness. He finally returned to his battalion in France in September 1917. 2 months later, he was promoted to Lance Corporal. In April 1918, the 45th Battalion were near the front lines around the French village of Dernancourt, prepared to rush into action in the event of a German attack. 2 days before the attack came, Lance Corporal Maguire was killed in action. Little is known of the manner of his death. There is some evidence that he was buried near the French town of Albert, but after the war, his grave could not be located. Today, Lance Corporal Maguire is commemorated on the memorial to the missing at Villers-Bretonneux. He was 28 years old. He is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal Laurence Leslie Maguire, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia they'll be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. Thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and good evening.